All right, here is an opportunity to run through Benchmark Unit 7, Lesson 4. Benchmark Unit 7, Lesson 4 is going to be a lesson on time order, okay? Things that happen in a particular order based on time. And we call that chronology, okay, or chronological order, or it's a way to organize information in your writing so that the reader can follow along in a timeline sort of fashion. And so, for example, we have some signal phrases that are contained within the passage, the open road, the development of Route 66, and how it contributed to the development of our nation. And what we want to do is we want to locate some of these signal phrases that make us feel like time is happening, or it reminds us of what time period we are um, in this case, in a particular paragraph that we are going to be reading. And so the first example comes from paragraph number 1. And in paragraph number 1, we have a signal phrase, and that signal phrase was in the 1890s. Well, what about the 1890s? What was going on? What are the events and the details going on during this particular time period in the 1890s? Now, the directions state that texts are sometimes organized in time order, also known as chronology. We are going to be reading paragraphs 3 through 6. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the open road. And we're going to recognize some of those time phrases to let us know that time is in fact passing, in this case, basically from paragraph to paragraph. And so let's go ahead and take a look here at the example. The signal phrase again was in the 1890s, and the event and details about this event. Okay, so what happened in the 1890s? Well, there were few paved roads, cars were expensive, and broke down often. And so in the 1890s, the big event, these are sort of the details, the big event is the first automobiles or the first cars were invented. Okay? Invented. So and the details around that event were, well, cars were invented, but there weren't many paved roads, and they were super expensive, and they broke down. Okay? So now we are going to start following the directions here and looking at paragraphs 3 through 6 to do the same exact thing. We need to locate the time order words. And looking at the first one in the 1890s, the year, if you see a year written somewhere like 1890s, it's likely going to be somewhere around there that your signal phrase is located. So let's look at paragraph number 3. Then in 1908, Henry Ford introduced the Model T automobile. Unlike those before it, this car was affordable because it didn't cost much. Many people bought it. As more people owned cars, the need for paved roads, gas stations, and new maps increased. As a result, the Model T helped change transportation. So the signal phrase there, I should be putting this in box number 2. The signal phrase here is then in 1908. Right? So then in 1908. First we got in the 1890s. Da, 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 da. Then in 1908, the event that happens in 1908 is likely going to appear very close to that signal phrase. In this case, Henry Ford introduced the Model T. Henry Ford introduced the Model T. Okay. And so the details around that event, right, after introducing the Model T, are probably already underlined from lesson 2, right? These were key details for a reason that we underlined in lesson 2. So let's go through and see if we've already captured what those details are. Yes, the idea that this car was affordable was a game changer. If it's affordable, more people are going to buy it. So there's your event. Here's your event from number 1. And now we have our details. Okay, so Model T was affordable. Right. Let's see here. We have another event or detail underlined here. As more people owned cars, the need for paved roads, gas stations, and new maps increased. Well, that is a major event. If it was not for the Model T, right, the need for all these gas stations and paved roads may not have been needed quite yet. And so, in changing transportation, the Model T was very, very responsible for that. So, it was affordable, therefore, we needed paved roads, gas stations, right, and new maps. Excellent. So now let's take a look at paragraph number 4. People with cars wanted to go places. People with cars wanted to go places. They wanted to hit the open road and explore America. However, to do so, they needed these better roads, right? So we needed paved roads, gas stations, and new maps because of the fact that in 1908 the Model T was introduced. But those roads cost money, and it wasn't until 1916. There's your year, there's your phrase. Your signal phrase is so in 1916. What happened in 1916? Congress passed the Federal Aid Road Act. It made funds available to help states build 2-lane interstate highways. Workers would build the new roads, which also created new jobs. So, the events that are, or the event that happened in 1916 was Congress passed the Federal Aid Road Act. The Federal Aid Road Act. That's a fancy way of Congress said, okay, we'll give you money to build your roads, states. And so they did. So because of that event, Congress passing this road act, we now have 2-lane highways being built, interstate highways being built. And I think, in my opinion, the most important thing that came out of this was the creating of new jobs. Okay, so that is a very important event that occurred here after the Federal Road Act was passed. So, what details happened because of this Road Act? Well, jobs were created and 2-lane interstate highways were built. Okay. So in a sense, using time order signal words is a great way to write a summary of a passage. Thinking about where those signal words are, the event, the actual event that happened, and the details surrounding that event. Okay, so now you have 2 paragraphs left. You have paragraph 5 and you have paragraph 6. 6 is great. There is a time order phrase in there, a signal phrase in there, but it does not contain a year. So it breaks away from the mold of paragraph 1, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you an option of paragraph 5 or 6 to create or locate your signal phrase, find the event and the details that surrounded it. Okay, and then also you have your part A and part B questions. Or one question that has a part A and a part B. How does the author organize most of the information? Guys, the clue here is this is all about chronology. Whatever chronology is, probably is the answer here. Which sentence illustrates this text structure, right? So the structure being these signal phrases. So in 1916, in the 1890s, and 1908, that's your text structure. It's built by using time order words. It's written in a way so that the reader is understanding the information in a timeline manner. Okay, so which one of these sentences would highlight that strategy for writing? All right, so benchmark unit 7, lesson 4. Go ahead, give number 4 a try and your 2 comprehension questions down there at the bottom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was great, pretty straightforward. Enjoy.